The bell above the diner door gave a soft ring as a man in a plain gray hoodie stepped inside. No one paid him much attention, just another customer looking for breakfast. The morning rush was loud, the coffee was strong, and the waitresses moved fast, balancing plates like it was a sport. But the man in the hoodie wasn't just any customer. He was Daniel King, the real owner of the diner, walking in undercover to see how his staff treated everyday people. No cameras, no warnings, no fancy suits, just a hood and curiosity. He chose a seat near the counter, blending into the noise. A young waitress slid by with a tired smile. "Good morning, sir. What can I get you?" "Just toast," Daniel said quietly. "Extra butter." He wanted something simple, something that wouldn't draw attention. But as she left, Daniel noticed a kid behind the counter, maybe 19, nervously wiping plates. His eyes kept darting toward the kitchen, like he was listening for something. Daniel leaned back, observing. The kid's hands shook, not from fear of work, but fear of someone in the back room. He kept whispering under his breath, but the noise of the diner drowned it out. The waitress placed Daniel's toast in front of him. "Enjoy." He picked it up, but froze halfway. A soft voice drifted from behind the counter, the same trembling voice from the kid. But this time, Daniel heard every word. "Please don't come today, I can't take it again." Daniel's fingers tightened around the plate. Something about the whisper, the desperation in it, hit him harder than he expected. He set the toast down slowly and kept listening. Then the kid's voice cracked into a whisper so sharp it cut right through the noise of the diner. "If he shows up again, I swear I'll run." Daniel felt the air shift. Not because of the words, but because he suddenly recognized the name the kid whispered next. And that name was someone Daniel knew personally. Someone who shouldn't be anywhere near his diner. A chill moved up his spine as he stared at the counter, realizing. This wasn't about toast. This wasn't about service. Something was happening in his diner. And the truth was about to pull him right out of his undercover disguise. Daniel kept his head down, pretending to butter his toast, but his ears were sharp. The kid behind the counter, skinny, jittery, eyes full of fear, kept glancing toward the front door as if expecting a monster to walk in at any second. Daniel spoke softly, testing the waters. "You okay back there?" The kid flinched so hard he almost dropped a mug. "Why, yes, sir, just busy." Busy didn't make hands shake like that. Daniel watched him carefully. The boy moved like someone carrying a secret too heavy for his spine. Every few seconds, he touched a bruise on his forearm, half hidden under his sleeve. Accident, maybe, but the way he winced said otherwise. A cook shouted from the kitchen, "Jalen. Order up, Jalen." Daniel repeated the name in his mind. He knew every employee. Hired half of them himself. But Jalen, that wasn't a name he recognized. A new hire. Or someone hired without Daniel's approval. Before he could ask more, the door chimed again. A tall man walked in, loud steps, loud confidence, a presence that made the room's temperature drop. Jalen froze instantly. His breathing changed. His shoulders locked. Daniel watched him pale. That was the reaction of someone who wasn't just scared. Someone who felt owned. The man leaned over the counter, tapping a finger close to Jalen's hand. Too close, too familiar. "Morning, kid," he said with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "You ready to be smart today?" Jalen swallowed and whispered, "Please, not here." Daniel's jaw clenched. He knew that voice. He knew that swagger. And suddenly the name Jalen whispered earlier made perfect sense. It was the man Daniel had fired 2 years ago for threatening staff. A man who swore he would come back for what's his. Daniel kept his hood low, hiding the shock in his eyes. The man leaned closer to Jalen. "You remember the deal, right? You still owe me. Don't make me collect in front of all these people." Jalen's fingers trembled as he nervously wiped the counter. "I don't have anything left to give," he whispered. Daniel heard every word. And then the man said the line that made Daniel's blood go cold. "You belong to me until I say otherwise." Jalen's face broke. Daniel didn't move, didn't blink, didn't reveal who he was. But inside, something sharp and dangerous snapped awake. Because the man threatening this kid was standing in Daniel's diner. And he had no idea the person sitting 6 feet away was the boss he thought he'd never face again. Daniel stayed completely still, but his mind raced. He had walked into his diner expecting to check service, not to find a scared teenager being cornered by the one man Daniel never wanted to see again. The man who'd once slammed a dishwasher against a wall. The man who said, "I don't take orders from anyone, not even the boss." Daniel had fired him on the spot, escorted him out, warned him never to come back. But here he was, leaning over a kid who could barely breathe. Jalen tried to step back, but the man blocked him with an elbow. "Come on," he growled softly. "You know how this works. Don't make a scene." Jalen's voice cracked. "Please, I told you, I can't help you anymore." The man smirked. "Sure you can. You got a job now. You got tips. And you got something more important." His eyes narrowed. Fear. Daniel felt heat rise in his chest. Every instinct in him wanted to rip off the hoodie and end it right there. But he held back. He wasn't just angry, he was calculating. If he stepped in too early, the man might take it out on Jalen. If he stepped in too late, the kid might shatter. From across the room, the waitress noticed the tension. "Everything okay over there?" she asked. Jalen forced a smile that died instantly. "Why yes." The man stared at him, whispering, "Lie again, and I'll make sure you regret it." Daniel's grip tightened around his toast plate until it creaked. He quietly set it down and stood, still masked by the hood. He walked toward the counter slowly, pretending to refill his coffee. The man barely glanced at him. Bad move. Daniel placed his cup down deliberately, close enough for the man to notice but not understand. "Kid," he said calmly to Jalen, "you look like you're about to pass out. You need water." Jalen shook his head quickly. I'm fine." The man scoffed. "Mind your business, old man." Daniel didn't look at him. He simply tilted his head, studying Jalen's trembling hands. "You sure?" he asked gently. "Your hands say something else." And that was enough. Jalen's eyes filled, not with tears, but with a kind of silent plea. Not for saving, for permission. Permission to speak. His lips parted. "Sir, I." But before he could finish, the man slammed a hand on the counter, making plates rattle. Everyone in the diner turned. "You don't talk to strangers about our business," he snapped. Daniel slowly lifted his gaze, and their eyes finally met. Recognition flashed for the briefest second. But the man didn't realize who he was looking at. Not yet. Daniel's voice stayed low, Steady, dangerous in its calm. Funny, I didn't know your business extended into my diner. The man blinked. You're what? But Daniel wasn't done. He pulled the hood back, revealing the face the man hoped he'd never see again. A hush fell across the diner. Daniel King, the boss, the man he had sworn he'd never cross again. The color drained from the man's face, and Jalen finally breathed.